You're probably wondering, if you want to jump into coming of age horror, where should you start? Well, I'm here to tell you where you should start with coming of age horror. Being a lover of the genre or subgenre, if you will, I adore coming of age horror. I love coming of age in general, but coming of age horror is where it really is like done well. Mwah, you know. So let's take it back in time a little bit. Back when we were kids, back in 2002, April 4th, when we were just, well, if you were my age, then you were, playing around on playgrounds and hanging out with friends. At this time of day, I was 9 years old, I was doing kid stuff, Most stories usually start off with kids being 12 through 15, but I'm just saying I'm 9 years old right now, and I'm doing kid stuff, and lo and behold, something bad happens. Something horrifying happens. So, yeah, I love coming of age horror, especially horror. Like, coming of age is awesome, but coming of age horror is like the bomb. So, I'm gonna give you some examples of some coming of age horror. Then I will give you my list of favorite coming of age horror. So, I hope you guys like this intro. Yeah, let's jump into it. All right, I'm back. I hope you like that little intro. It was all VHS-y to make you get that old-time feeling. So anyways, we're going to start off by saying, where should you start with coming-of-age horror? So, when it comes to the average reader, if you're not really into horror, per se, then I definitely, if you're into a long-winded read, and when I say long-winded, I don't mean anything bad by it, I just mean it's a long book, and that is Boy's Life by Robert R. McCammon. This book has horror elements to it, but it's definitely not a horror coming-of-age novel at all. As you can see, it's a pretty thick one. I listened to the audiobook. I enjoy this a lot. I don't know where where it drops on my coming-of-age list. It's probably, it's number 11. So I really enjoyed this list to make it, and this one just missed the top 10 for me, but I really enjoyed this book. I'm more of horror, so this one isn't really horror, so that's why it's not as high as other things. This is a great coming-of-age story, though, and if you're new to horror, then I recommend Boy's Life to get you into the whole coming-of-age horror, This is a great place to start. Then I know everyone's going to roll their eyes at me when I say that this author's name. They're going to be like, oh, he's not really horror, he's more thriller. And you're going to say all these things about how I can't stand that author and I'm not going to read him. But whatever. This is The Voice of the Night by Brian Coffey, a.k.a. Dean Koontz. This book is not big at all. This book comes in at, 213 pages. And I get some dog hair on it. Sorry about that. This is a fantastic coming-of-age horror novel. It's about these two kids. I didn't even tell you what Boy's Life is about, but you look it up, you'll know what it's about. But The Voice of the Night is about two friends, and one of them is a psycho. That's all you really need to know. It's a really good book. A lot of things happen in this book, and there's a scene with a train that I really like, and overall, this is a really good book. So I recommend, if you want a coming-of-age horror novel, to start off with this one. This one is like number 5 on my list, so it's in the top 5. And then the last book I'm going to recommend you guys is Fear by Ronald Kelly. My copy, of course, is signed, because if you know me, I have almost every Ronald Kelly book signed. So, yeah, definitely recommend this book to anybody, whether they like coming of age horror or not. Sorry for the burp. Whether you like coming of age horror or not, this book is just a good book in general. I'm just going to get out of the way right now. This is my number 1 favorite book of all time. And my favorite coming-of-age horror novel of all time. So, yeah, it makes the top list in both categories for my favorite coming-of-age horror and my favorite books of all time list. So, yeah. So, just to get it out of the way, spoiler alert, this is number 1 on my list. So, those are some books I totally recommend for people who are just jumping into coming-of-age horror. Also, another book I would recommend, it's a novella, it's very short, In the Scrape by Mark Steensland and James Newman. That one is a definite read for me. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I will also recommend The October Boys by Adam Millard. That one was really good. The Troop by Nick Carter. Oh my gosh, so good. Anything by Kealan Patrick Burke I hear is good, but The Turtle Boy is the only thing I've read by him yet so far, and that one was amazing. But I'm going to stop recommending books because if I do, I'll go on a tangent and we'll be here forever. So we're going to go to my list for top 10 favorite coming-of-age novels. This doesn't necessarily mean they are horror, but you know, if you are a coming-of-age horror, you're going to be higher on the list. So there you go. So number 10, we're going to go with In the Scrape by James Newman and Mark Steensland. All right. This book is a fantastic book about two brothers and their abusive dad. Really good book. Then we're going to go to number 9, which is The Turtle Boy by Kealan Patrick Burke. Did I say In the Scrape was by Kealan Patrick Burke? I meant In the Scrape is by James Newman and Mark Steensland. Turtle Boy is by Kealan Patrick Burke. And The Turtle Boy is about this kid who makes a friend with a kid who is infatuated with turtles. And yeah, it sounds like a cute little story, but it is not. It's definitely horror, and it's really good. I highly recommend it. So now we're gonna go on to number 8, which is The Troop by Nick Carter. He also, I think his name is actually Craig Davidson. He wrote another coming of age novel called I forget what it's called, but it's had to do with ghost hunting or something like that. Ghost Hunting Club. I don't remember what it was called, but yeah, Nick Carter or Craig Davidson wrote The Troop. The Troop is just about these boys who go on an island for a Boy Scout trip, and things go awry. So number 7, we are going with The October Boys by Adam Millard. Halloween isn't really a thing in that part of the country, which is England, but these boys are out trick-or-treating. It's fairly new for them. They don't really do it too often, and they're going trick-or-treating because it's Halloween, and they run into an ice cream truck which may or may not take one of their friends, and then it flashes back to when they're older, and then it kind of flashes. It's kind of like It, it's like a shorter version of It, but based on Halloween in England. It's very good. I really liked it. The October Boys is definitely a thumbs up for me. All right, so number 6, we're going to move on to Those Below the Treehouse by Matt Hayward. I don't know about all the drama that happened with Matt Hayward. I'm putting all that aside because in the end, this was a good book. I really liked the book, and that's Those Below the Treehouse. This book was fascinating and scary at times, but mostly it's about the boys and their friendship, and even there's a bully with them. And basically, this is a zombie book about kids trapped in a treehouse during this mini zombie apocalypse. So yeah, it's really good. I highly recommend it. So now we're on the top 5 list, and you already know number 5 and number 1. Number 5 and number 1. So sorry about that spoiler, but number 5 is The Voice of the Night by Dean Koontz. Really love this one. I already told you what it's about, so we're going to move on to the next one, which is number 4, and that is Within the Woods by Tony Urban. This is kind of an out-of-nowhere book for me. I didn't know anything about Tony Urban. I still don't really know much about Tony Urban, but yeah, this is his only standalone book that I know of, and man, he knocked it out of the park with this one. There's this great scene where they're like bike fencing, and it just brought so many, memories from childhood. And then there was some really disturbing scenes. I can't tell you any of the disturbing scenes, but it was great. I really, really like this book. So Within the Woods, definitely a thumbs up for me. So number 3, we have a fairly new book on this list. I read it like not too long ago. I want to say last month, and that is The Taste of Blood by John Athan. Really like this book. This is not really about vampires, but it definitely alludes to vampires. This girl is sexually abused and believes that she has become a vampire, and her friend has to deal with that shit. So yeah, it's a really, really good book. I really, really recommend it, especially if you're a fan of extreme horror. Yes, this is an extreme horror novel. No, it's not really extreme to the as extreme as other authors, but From what I hear, John Athan mostly writes in extreme horror, and this is probably one of his lighter, tamer books. So, yeah, go give it a try. It's really good. I give it number 3. And then now we're on number 2. Number 2 is The Traveling Vampire Show by Richard Laymon. Not much to say about this one. This one brings so much nostalgia. And some people say Richard Laymon's a little pervy when he writes. I understand what they're saying. He is pervy when he's writing. He says a lot of things like rump, butts, boobs. You know, he's a little immature with his writing, but you know what? I really dig it with this book. It just fit well because it's from the first-person narrative, so you got it from this, like, perspective of a boy who's, like, 16 years old. And, of course, that's what he's going to be thinking about. He's going to be thinking of rumps and boobs and stuff. So, yeah, totally fit well. His writing style fit very well with this book. It's about this traveling vampire show that comes into town, and they may or may not have a real vampire, and it's kind of about them leading up to the show, and then the show is like the finale, and it's just a fantastic finale. Definitely a thumbs up for me. All these are thumbs ups for me, so I don't know why I keep saying that, but yeah. So now we're on number 1. You guys already know what number 1 is, so I'm gonna give you some honorable mentions. Summer of Night by Dan Simmons, Ghoul by Brian Keene, Until Summer Comes Around by Glenn Rolfe, and of course Boys Life by Robert R. McCammon. Those are my runners. Those are my honorable mentions, if you will. But number 1, like I said before, it's Fear by Ronald Kelly. By far the best coming of age book I've ever read. By far the best book I've ever read by far. See, these 2 books in the top 2 are my favorite books of all time. In order, you know, like 1 and 2. Of course, John Athan's book, The Taste of Blood, touched The Traveling Vampire Show. It was really close between those 2. But I ended up going with The Traveling Vampire Show at number 2. But number 1 is Ronald Kelly's Fear. And I actually have the book right here. Like I said, fantastic book. Mine is signed. So basically, what is this book about? This book is about this kid who, basically, it's like taking place in the 50s or 60s, and maybe even the 40s. I'm not really sure, but this kid, his has cancer. His dad has these problems from when he fought in the war, and now he thinks he's like 10 years old, and basically something is going around and killing people, or, well, people are disappearing, if you will. And one day he meets a girl and things are going well, and then all of a sudden she goes and disappears. Then he finds out what's making these people disappear, and it's a monster in this little cave. And basically after that, this is like the 200-page mark, they got to go to Fear County, which is what the name of the book, Fear. They go to Fear County, and things really start up from there. I love this book. This book has everything, really. It's just a fantastic novel. And I'm glad I hung in there, because I am not one for these big chunkers. I only read big chunkers if it's an audiobook. So, I actually read this physical copy. Well, not this one in particular. This one actually is a copy that I bought just so I can get it signed by Ronald Kelly. The original one actually had a huge tear down here. So, and up here, it was clipped like crazy. I brought it everywhere I went. I took it to the shop that I worked at the time, and I read it there. Very, very good book. Everyone was always telling me, like, oh, you're still reading that thing? And I'm like, hell yeah, I am. And I want to take my time with this bitch, because, man, is it good. So this is Fear by Ronald Kelly, and that's my number 1 favorite coming-of-age horror novel, or just coming-of-age novel in general. Like I said, the boy would probably, or not the boy, I'm sorry, Boy's Life would probably be higher on the list if it had more horror, if it was enriched with more horror elements to it. I think it's at number 11, like I said before. It just misses the list barely. But you know what? It's a great top 10 list. You know, all these books in the top 10 are fabulous. There are some books I still need to read. I have a bunch of coming-of-age stories on my coming-of-age bookshelf. And yes, I own a coming-of-age bookshelf. That's how much I am infatuated with the genre or subgenre. And right now, I am currently reading Shelter for the Damned by Mike Thorne. I am on page 29 on chapter 3. And I'm really enjoying this so far. Not really bringing any flashbacks from my childhood because I did not smoke as a child, and right now they're currently talking about how much they need to smoke. So it's more of a maybe a flashback to my mom's childhood a little bit, but I didn't smoke as a child, so, or a teenager, I should say. So, I don't really, connect with it very often, but I do connect with the fact about finding this abandoned shed or home or whatever, and wanting to, like, stay there, that's pretty cool. So I guess I connect with that, but, really enjoying this book. Is it going to make the top 10? I don't know yet. James Newman and Mark Steensland in the Scrape is at number 10, and man, is that a hard book to top. That book is fantastic. I think I have a cemented top 10 list right here. This is going to last for a while, I think. But I have a lot of coming-of-age books still to read. I keep finding them. I think it's incredible how many I have found. And, yeah. But anyways, this is my coming-of-age horror top 10 list, or my coming-of-age horror recommendations plus list. I don't know what to call this yet. So, I'm wearing my Shining shirt. I think it's cool. And I probably should go back to either working now, or I will go back to reading or writing. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do after this video, but I'm going to edit this video, then post it on YouTube, and yeah. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, like the video, damn it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I know this video is different than my normal videos, but my normal videos are also fun to watch sometimes. But this one is not your average video. This is more of a recommendation slash list, or recommendations slash list video. And I hope you guys enjoyed. So I'm gonna head out now. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a spooky night. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.